All right, let's get into the first topic. Obviously, I think in the NFL world, besides that Eagles-Ravens game, this was the topic everyone was talking about.
For sure.
The Bears took on the Lions, and I do want to add, that game was a lot closer than it should have been.
A lot closer.
Bears had the ball down 3 with 2 minutes to go. So let me walk you through the sequence of what happens on that final drive. The Bears get the ball 2 minutes on the clock. First play, Bears take a sack. Okay? Clock's running. 30 seconds later, Caleb Williams scrambles for 6 yards. I just want to note this already, right now. This is the only positive yards play that they have on the entire drive. Okay? After that, 1:08 are left. There's a Lions player that got hurt on the last play, so the clock didn't continue running. But it's an incomplete pass. At 1:04, the Bears get a penalty for running a pick play with their tight end. So they go back some more.
I've seen it, not to interrupt, but I've actually seen a lot of teams getting called for pick plays now more than I did the past several seasons. So they're starting to look for it. So they need to either disguise it better or just run better routes to where you're not having to pick play on those.
So after the pick play, it's now 4th and 14. Caleb Williams launches it down the field, and the Lions get a pass interference call. So that's an automatic first down, and it puts them in their own side of the field already. Just
Huge.
with that one penalty call.
Yep.
I mean, that's where all their yards came from. So after the pass interference call, there's 46 seconds left. You get another incomplete pass. The ball is on the 25. The Bears get to the line of scrimmage and take forever to hike the ball. The Bears end up calling their second timeout to avoid getting a delay of game penalty.
That's so ridiculous.
Next up, you have a 13-yard complete pass to Keenan Allen. Okay, he goes for the first down. It gets called back from an offensive lineman having a hands to the face penalty, and it was a pretty obvious one. The player's helmet flew off and everything. But they get pushed back some more. So now we got 2nd and 20. The ball is on the 35-yard line on their side. They're still in field goal range.
Right. Down by 3.
36 seconds is left on the clock. Now here's where the insanity ensues. 36 seconds, Caleb Williams drops back to pass, and he gets sacked for a 6-yard loss. The ball is now on the 41-yard line. Williams calls back the players. They hustle to the line. They still have a timeout left. But 36 seconds from when he gets sacked all the way until they get to the line for them to hike it, there is 6 seconds left. He hikes the ball with 6 seconds left. Incomplete pass to the 5-yard line. Game over. Bears still have a timeout. They wasted 30 seconds getting back to the line to get that last play in. And then the final part of this big old puzzle is Eberflus hits the press afterwards. He says he likes what they did, and he thinks that him and his team handled it the right way. The next morning he gets fired. The next morning he gets fired, and now we have Thomas Brown, who was their offensive coordinator, as their new head coach. Eberflus finished with the Bears after 3 years with the 14-32 record. I mean,
how do you say with a straight face that you handled the end of that game well?
I have no clue.
I mean, did he think that was going to help his job by saying that? Because I think that's probably what cost him his job. If he honestly believes that he handled that ball, the end of that game really well, and he's willing to say that in front of the entire world, I don't know if teams should ever hire him again, to be honest with you. And I hate to say that, but that might seem extreme. But when you've got a timeout left, you're in field goal range. Now, it'd be a long field goal because they messed around and they kept going backwards instead of forwards. But you still gave yourself a chance to at least kick it into overtime.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
I don't either, man. He becomes the first head coach for the Chicago Bears to get fired in season.
Yep.
So I do want to note, I watched the Steelers-Bengals game, which, that's not a topic we have today, but it was a fantastic game. The Steelers looked beautiful. But right before, I know I had to wear the jersey. I'm repping the Pride today. But right before halftime, the Steelers were marching down the field with clock running out, and they were kind of in the same circumstance that the Bears were in at the end of the game, where I believe it was a completed pass to get them into field goal range, and Russell Wilson starts hurrying everyone to the line, and I think it reached like 8, maybe 7 seconds, and they still were just now getting ready. It was kind of the same opportunity where he could have hiked it before the time expired, but Mike Tomlin called the timeout, ran out the field goal unit, took the 3 points. And so I'm just saying, like, Eberflus, definitely that is not how you should have handled it. Even, I mean, at the 41-yard line, you have to give your kicker a chance. It's 59 yards. It's not like it's setting an NFL record or anything of a kick. If he would have marched him out there, kicked the ball, they could have potentially tied it up. Now, if you lose off missing a long field goal like that, that's one way.
Different.
You know, but launching it to the end zone, I mean, to get a touchdown to win, sure, if that's your aggressive mentality, fine, so be it. But you have to use that last time out. I mean, you have to. Even if you want to talk it over to be able to get a Hail Mary call in or something, you have to use it.
Yep.
So, big L by the Bears. I feel sorry for Bears fans. I know they're so passionate. They love their team.
The worst part is the beginning of the season. They were just like, we've talked about the Cowboys are kind of the same way. They were a team that were talked about to make a good run this year. They thought they had a pretty solid team, good offense. Their defense is okay. And it is not panning out. It just isn't. And, you know, you can blame coaching completely. There's probably a lot of factors that lead into it, but it's it's another disappointing year for the Bears.
Yeah, I mean, after just watching that game, I haven't watched too many Bears games, to be honest with you. I believe in that game, though, Caleb Williams passed a record. It was like most consecutive passes thrown without an interception for a rookie. And so he's doing all right. Who cares? But the offensive line, and in my opinion, after watching that game, is just horrible. I mean, every single play, the line's collapsing. He has to step into the pocket, and typically they're having pressure come up from the middle, too, and it's a sack.
Well,
it's taking a lot of sacks.
Then. I mean, they know what they need to work on.
Yep,
so
invest
on
in the line.
Invest in that line. Get some good draft picks. You're going to need something, because
it's not working.
It's not working. Not working at all.
All right, so our next topic in the NFL. Now, I didn't watch this game, but I think everyone saw the hit.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence gets knocked out. I mean, knocked out like Red and Friday. Just cleaned by Azeez Al-Shaair, who's a captain on the Texans defense. So, yeah.
Now, I showed you that. I don't know. I'm sure you saw it. I watched it again about 4 times before we started this podcast just to watch the sequence. And I have no sympathy for Azeez, and I'll be honest with you, because he was going down. Mm-hmm. You could see he was going down. Now, there's obviously a few people that disagree with this call because, as we can see, Al-Shaair was suspended for 3 games. I don't know what's typical. That does seem like a bit much because I don't know if I've ever heard of somebody with a late hit like that and getting suspended for 3 games. I don't know if I've ever heard that before. We may have to do some research on that. Make a comment if you have. But so the Texas general manager, Nick Caserio, he said, I probably speak for a lot of teams, not only Houston, Texas, but I think that all teams ask for consistency from the league. And I'd say in this situation, quite frankly, there's no consistency at all relative to the level of discipline that's been handed out. So he clearly, I mean, he knows probably more than we do, as he's seen past suspensions, that this might be a little extensive.
Yeah. I mean, I watched the play. Now, just to play devil's advocate here, right? Because, listen, I agree with, I mean, I don't know about the extent of him being punished. Definitely within that game, getting kicked out of the game. Yep. Definitely labeling it almost as kind of a targeting play. That's pretty consistent with quarterbacks that are sliding, getting hit. Now, the 3-game suspension, I'm not sure what the penalty entails and if that was justified. I will say, though, you know, just playing devil's advocate, there has been a clip of Patrick Mahomes going around since this hit happened where he's running the ball, he's trying to get to a first down, and he kind of like leans down like he's gonna slide, but instead of sliding, he actually just blows right by the defender, who was probably easing up because he figured he was gonna slide.
Sure.
I mean, at what point are you going to hold the quarterback liable? You know, if you're gonna slide, you have to slide. You know, maybe I wouldn't like this because you have quarterbacks out there like Josh Allen, like Lamar Jackson, a lot of scrambling quarterbacks who can continue to pick up more yards after the contact comes. But, you know, maybe there should be a rule. If you're going to hold the defense liable for easing off of a quarterback that's about to go down, maybe you have some restraint with the offense as far as a quarterback, like, hey, before contact, you have to go down. You know, to prevent them from getting hit. Now, I don't want to see that, but it's not fair for the defense. It's just not. I mean, and there was also this whole thing going around whenever these rules first started getting implemented. Like, is there any possibility that a defender can get hurt from trying to ease up, you know, distorting their body
Possibly.
in a different type of way?
Yeah.
And so it's really hard. And on that play, Trevor Lawrence was going for a first down. You know, he started to slide. It looked like just past the first down, so he was really trying to wait until the last second to do it. And the team captain of the Texans defense, the dude who's all about hard hits, Al-Shaair, you know, that's what he's known for. He's going to try and put a hit on you if you're out there trying to take a hit. Last second, he decides to slide, and Aziz decided to still continue to finish it. So
Yep.
it's a hard play.
I would be 100% in support of a rule that you cannot fake slide. So if you're talking about a Patrick Mahomes situation to where he's going to act like he's going down but he stays up, like you have to call the ball dead once you start to see that it looks like a quarterback's going to slide, regardless if he does or not. You gotta. It's almost like a fair catch. You can't fair catch it and then grab it and run, or fake that. Let's make a rule to make it fair on both sides. I agree.
Yeah.
I know and the hard part is when you're in the moment, you're trying to lay a hit, and I get that. It just looked like this to me, like he was on his way down when he did go in aggressive, and it was a hard hit. I mean, it was a tough hit.
It was a forearm to the head. I mean, that's pretty brutal. And then his head whiplashing off the turf in the back. So it's tough.
Now, D'Amico Ryans, I wouldn't say he all out blamed Lawrence, but it sure kind of leaned that way.
It did, yeah. He has D'Amico Ryans was a linebacker when he was in the league. So go ahead and tell them what they said.
Okay, so here's what he said. He said, "We stand behind Aziz and everything that came from that. Of course, the unfortunate hit on a quarterback, but it's twofold. A lot of the quarterbacks in this day and age, they try to take advantage, which we just talked about, of the rule where they slide late and they try to get an extra yard. Now, you're a defender, and a lot of onus is on the defender, whether it's on the sideline or it's on the quarterback. You don't know what a guy is thinking. You don't know if a guy's staying up and he's continuing to run. You just don't know. And you get a late slide and you hit the guy. Unfortunate that Trevor got hurt. We hope Trevor's okay. But also, if we're sliding, you have to get down."
Yeah.
I think it's fair. I think that's a fair statement.
Absolutely. And like I said, D'Amico Ryans is coming from the perspective of a defender who's trying to figure out how to stop a quarterback from scrambling.
Yeah.
And it's hard to identify whether they're going to go down or not when all of these players are running 15, a quarterback's probably running 15 miles per hour straight towards you, straight towards wherever. They have to at least, if you're not going to throw in the, penalty towards fake sliding or something like that, like make it to where they have to leave 4 or 5 yards of a gap when they start to slide. If you start getting within that 5-yard range and you're trying to slide last second, make it okay for them to get hit like that. Instead, don't slide. Put a shoulder down like a running back would do and try to just take the contact. I mean, that's the old days football right there. There was no sliding. If you slid, you'd still get hit. So why not this is one thing I always said when I was in football, right? You're either the one laying the hit or you're the one getting hit. And that's how it worked at the high school level when I played. There's not sliding at the high school level. A quarterback would lower their shoulder. They would try to run through you. It doesn't matter. But I understand it's different in the NFL. These dudes getting paid hundreds of millions of dollars. They're leading their team. If you lose the quarterback, you're losing the season. That's how football works in the NFL.
Sure.
But still, we have to stop catering the game to offense.
Yep.
Defense matters too.
Yep.
And so that's where I stand with it.
Do we have any idea if Lawrence is going to play next week?
Well, he's not playing next week. He was in injury protocol. Now, I did a little research after this hit happened, just looking at it, and if I remember correctly, the Jags are 2-10.
Yeah.
So they're not doing anything postseason. And Trevor Lawrence already had a messed up shoulder, and he was just playing through it. So if I'm the Jags, I'm sitting him out the rest of the season. I'm going to go ahead and start aiming towards a return in 2025, try to get the team back together. He's definitely not coming back after that hit for next week, though.
Yeah.
I mean, he was almost pulling a Tua while he's on the ground with the twisted hand and stuff, man. It was a bad hit. So
yeah, I think call it. I think that's right. That's the right call. Just set him down, call it a season. I mean, for some reason they're terrible this year. We don't really know why. They were decent last year.
They're the Jags. That's why. And then finally, what we're going to talk about is the Detroit Lions.
11-1.
So the Detroit Lions, they're about to play their 4th game in an 18-day stretch.
I don't like that.
I mean, that's kind of wild. That's roughly 3 weeks, just under 3 weeks. 4th game. Now, here's where stuff like that starts to add up. The Lions, out of the 15 total defensive linemen and linebackers that they have, only 4 are healthy. 11 injuries just across the D tackles, the D ends, and the linebackers. So they're getting hurt defensively. Now, luckily, they are an offensive loaded team. Their offense is 2nd in the league with an average of 395 yards a game, and then they're tied for 1st with 47 touchdowns. Now, the Ravens lead them with 422 average yards, and then they're tied 47 touchdowns. So, and they don't have really any injuries offensively. So, to me, it almost sounds like every Lions game is going to start turning into a shootout. It's just whoever can score more points.
Yeah.
It's a tough position to be in, though, when you have only 4 people in that front 7 that they have. The 2 D tackles, 2 D ends, 3 linebackers. Only 4 of them are healthy. And mind you, I'm sure those 4 weren't even starters at the beginning of the year. I think Jack Campbell is still healthy, and he might have been a starter. But other than that, all the rest are backups, and even the backups are getting hurt. So how much of this do you think plays into the 4 games in 18 days, or just their schedule? Maybe it's just how they play. Like, what is it?
No, I think it's everything. Everything to do with the amount of time that they're playing. I mean, we all know that NFL players throw their body. I mean, it wears down your body. It doesn't matter how strong or how big you are. You get hit, and you get hit every single play, especially some of the defensive linemen, the linebackers. Holy cow. So I think it's got everything to do with playing that many games in that short amount of time. I mean, I understand the Lions and Cowboys, they play every Thanksgiving. They have since like 1966. I get it. So you have to work a bye around that time frame, I think. I understand, there's a Thursday night game or whatever, but why line it up that way? I mean, they can adjust that schedule to make it make more sense for the team to where they have time to recover. Because clearly this is showing that that's not working. And you don't want injuries to then distress a team that is doing so well. I mean, we've already talked about them potentially being a Super Bowl contender, but we simply do not want injuries to factor into that.
Yeah, I mean, I looked up the rest of the season here for the Detroit Lions. So they have the Packers next.
It's a tough game.
After the Packers, they go to Bills.
That's a tough
After
game.
the Bills, it's at the Bears. And then after the Bears to the 49ers. I mean, these are some pretty physical teams. And then their final game's against the Vikings.
That's a tough schedule. Let's see how they play out against them.
Yeah, a tough last little stretch they have. And it looks like 3 out of those 5 are home games. The Bears and the Niners are going to be the away games.
Helps a little bit, but still. So they don't have any buys left. Is that what that's showing?
Yeah, no buys. No.
Wow.
So it's going to be tough. I mean, the injuries are a problem. I would imagine at this point they're starting to freaking call in people off the street. Some practice squad players.
Call them up. He'll come out and play some linebacker for you.
I'm retired. I am not playing against no 230-pound backs. No, sir. But that's going to be a tough stretch for the Lions for sure. Now, can they hold on to that number one pole position in the NFC?
I hope so.
I mean, the Eagles are looking good right now. They're right there behind them, 10-2. Saquon is. I mean, we saw who won the rushing battle in that last game against the Ravens. So we'll have to see what's up with the Lions. You know, I have the best hopes for them. I think most of the nation wants to see a Super Bowl.
Yes. With
the Steelers and the Lions.
I don't know about the Steelers.
I'm pretty sure it's the Steelers.
They want to see the Lions there,
and the
but
Lions.
I don't know if they want the Steelers there.
Okay, maybe I'll give you the Bills. I would like to see the Bills get some success too, but
I don't really care about them.
Definitely over there though in the NFC, man. The Lions is a team everyone's rooting for. Dan Campbell is a dog. You know, he's one of the better coaches. So.
And they just have been there for. Well, have they ever gone to the Super Bowl?
I don't remember.
I know they haven't won one.
I don't think they've ever won a Super Bowl. I don't think they've probably ever been to the Super Bowl.
It's crazy.
But yeah, wishing the best for you.